used to keep my door wide open, coffee warm for every friend. Believed a handshake meant forever, believed a promise had no end. But man, I called my brothers, turned my kindness into prayer. They stole my roof in broad daylight and smiled as they walked away. Now every road feels quiet, every voice a warning sign. I learned the hard way mercy burns when hearts like theirs meet hearts like mine. And if I walk this world alone, it's 'cause of lessons carved in bone. I don't trust no one no more, not the knock upon my door, not the man who says he's true, not the eyes that look like you. I've been broken, I've been used, left for dead and left confused. I don't trust no one no more, but I still stand like I did before, like I did before. They took my name and twisted it, left me bleeding in the dust, turned my open heart to armor, made me choke on my own trust. But I ain't bitter, just careful. I watch shadows as they fall. Kind men die the quickest when they're kind to everyone. I still give bread to strangers, still help the lost along the way. But I lock the door behind me when the world begins to fray. And if I speak less than I did, it's 'cause my scars know how to live. I don't trust no one no more, not the knock upon my door, not the man who says he's true, not the eyes that look like you. I've been broken, I've been used, left for dead and left confused. I don't trust no one no more, but I still stand like I did before, like I did before. And now I walk with measured footsteps, feel the gravel speak my name. And though the world is full of wolves, I ain't playing their cruel game. 'Cause kindness is my burden, and it's also what remains. Not a weakness, not a weapon, but a truth carved out of pain. I may never trust like I once did, but I ain't turning into stone. A cautious heart still beats the loudest when it learns to beat alone. And though I got what's left of me, I walk this path with dignity. I don't trust no one no more, not the knock upon my door, not the man who says he's true, not the eyes that look like you. I've been broken, I've been used, left for dead and left confused. I don't trust no one no more, but I still stand like I did before, like I did before. One day I'll see your face worth trust, one soul that won't turn gold to dust. And when that day finally comes, I'll lay my armor in the sun. I don't trust no one no more, but I ain't who I was before. Through the treason, through the pain, I found the strength to rise again. Maybe trust is slow to grow, maybe truth is all I know. I don't trust no one no more, but my heart still knows what it's fighting for. Learn to love with shaking hands. Watch my father guard the door. He'd pace the kitchen late at night like storms that never left the floor. He'd ask my mama where she'd been, why she smiled when someone spoke. I grew up thinking love was something fragile enough for men to choke. And now I feel that old fire burning when someone looks the way she shines. A shadow planted in my childhood, growing roots into my mind. But I won't be the man he was. I'll break the chain before it rusts. This jealousy ain't mine to keep. It's just a ghost that learned to speak. A father's flaw inside my chest, a heavy weight I must resist. I love her more than I can say, enough to fight what pulls me astray. This jealousy that haunts my mind, I swear I'll leave it far behind. I catch myself with tightened jaw, a gaze too sharp for someone kind. And in the mirror I see traces of the man I swore I'd never find. My father's voice beneath my ribs, whispering doubts I never chose, turning love into a battlefield where fear is all that grows. But she's the light that breaks the cycle, the gentle truth I never knew. And every time she holds me steady, I feel the boy inside undo. So when the darkness starts to rise, I breathe her name and close my eyes. This jealousy ain't mine to keep. It's just a ghost that learned to speak. A father's flaw inside my chest, a heavy weight I must resist. I love her more than I can say, enough to fight what pulls me astray. This jealousy that haunts my mind, I swear I'll leave it far behind. Tonight I lay my weapons down, my trembling fears, my father's sins. I won't let envy tear the roots of something pure is what's within. 'Cause love ain't meant to feel like chains or burning coals beneath the skin. It's meant to hold, not to imprison, to lift a wounded man again. So if I stand a little shaky, know I'm learning how to be a man who loves without the shadows of the past inside of me. And though the past won't disappear, I walk toward her without fear. This jealousy ain't mine to keep. It's just a ghost that learned to speak. A father's flaw inside my chest, a heavy weight I must resist. I love her more than I can say, enough to fight what pulls me astray. This jealousy that haunts my mind, I swear I'll leave it far behind. dying at the door. Her gentle hands of steady grace have carved new truth into this place. I rise above what shaped my spine, break free from blood that once defined this jealousy that chained my mind. I walk away and leave behind. His head on cotton sheets, but feels the weight of iron skies. The world goes quiet past midnight as storms keep roaring in his mind. Tomorrow feels like broken glass, 1,000 cuts he hasn't bled. He counts the cracks across the ceiling like prayers he's too afraid to say. Every dream turns into warnings, every plan feels built on sand. He closes trembling fingers tight around the little hope he has. And though the dark outgrows the light, something whispers, hold on tight. Tomorrow's fear is a heavy stone, a quiet war he fights alone. But in the dark a spark remains to carry him through unseen pains. He breathes, he breaks, he learns to stay. A wounded man still finds his way. Tomorrow's fear may cloud his sight, but something soft still says, survive the night. He wakes before the sun can rise, heart pacing faster than his breath. The mirror shows a tired stranger who's lived too close to quiet death. He pours black coffee in the silence, tries to outrun the thoughts that chase. But shadows sit beside his footsteps, cold reminders he must face. Still somewhere in the dim-lit kitchen, between the doubts and broken plans, he feels a fragile thread of courage tugging gently at his hands. And when the morning feels too near, a voice inside says, beat the fear. Tomorrow's fear is a heavy stone, a quiet war he fights alone. But in the dark a spark remains to carry him through unseen pains. He breathes, he breaks, he learns to stay. A wounded man still finds his way. Tomorrow's fear may cloud his sight, but something soft still says, survive the night. Survive slow for sorrow, it pushes man to stand or fall. And though his knees have kissed the floor, he's risen every single time. He's walked through days that stole his fire, nights that hollowed out his chest. But even there he found a whisper saying, son, just do your best. So now he lifts his tired shoulders, lets the world weigh what it must. For hope, though small, is still a seed that grows in men who learn to trust. And in the silence of his fight, he hears it clearer, you'll be alright. Tomorrow's fear is a heavy stone, a quiet war he fights alone. But in the dark a spark remains to carry him through unseen pains. He breathes, he breaks, he learns to stay. A wounded man still finds his way. Tomorrow's fear may cloud his sight, but something soft still says, survive the night. Survive the night. And though tomorrow feels unsure, his heart beats on, bruised but pure. Tomorrow's fear won't own his soul, for in the cracks new courage grows. He'll walk the dawn with trembling hands, yet stronger than the night demands. For hope is quiet, soft and small, but strong enough to break the fall. Tomorrow's fear no longer bites, he steps ahead and claims the light. I remember dusty streets at sundown, barefoot running through the heat, fireflies dancing in the oak trees, mama calling from the porch seat. Back then the dark was just the sky, and not a place where danger grew. We chased the wind past midnight hours, knowing nothing could undo. But now those roads feel unfamiliar, every shadow twice as wide. The world grew cold while I was growing, and something warm in me just died. And in the echoes of that time, I hear a world that once was mine. When we walk without fear, where the night was kind of clear, where a child's heart could dream without breaking at the seams. Now the streets don't feel the same, and the stars forgot our names. But I remember how it felt back then, when we walk without fear again. I passed the old convenience store, now boarded up with rust and dust, where we bought candy with loose quarters, where every stranger earned our trust. Tonight I hear a distant siren, and it cuts right through my chest. This town that once held simple living now teaches kids to hide, not rest. The world sped up, grew teeth and hunger, lost its patience, lost its soul. Yet in the quiet I still gather pieces of the boy it stole. And though the past is out of reach, it still has something left to teach. When we walk without fear, where the night was kind of clear, where a child
turns to caution, and innocence becomes a myth. Still deep inside this older body, a younger heartbeat tries to rise. The child who ran through open meadows still lives behind these weathered eyes. And though the world has changed its tune, my footsteps still remember June. When we walk without fear, where the night was kinda clear, where a child's heart could dream without breaking at the seams. Now the streets don't feel the same, and the stars forgot our names. But I remember how it felt back then, when we walk without fear again. When we walk without fear, before the world could disappear, when every night was soft and wide, and danger slept on the other side. Though the times have turned so cold, there's a fire in the stories told, and in my heart I walk back when we lived in days of fearless men.
He wakes before the morning breaks, hands shaking like a winter limb. The mirror holds a stranger's face, quiet and war still fall within. Bills pile like crooked mountains, dreams lie buried in the dust. It's something faint beneath the ruin keeps whispering, get up, you must. Drags his boots across the kitchen, feels a whirlpool at his spine. A beaten man by every measure, but still alive between the lines. And though the dark clouds never part, a secret ember warms his heart. It's the hope he can't see, but is living quietly, like a seed beneath the frost that refuses to be lost. Though his hands are worn and sore, something says hold on once more. It's the hope he can't see, but it's keeping him on his knees. He walks the same old gravel road that stole the fire from his youth. Every fence post tells a story of battles fought for scraps of truth. He stumbled hard on broken seasons, learned that pain don't make a sound. It settles deep in empty rooms and hides in footsteps on the ground. But Still he feels a trembling promise under all this torn apart. Not a voice he hears in thunder, but a murmur in his heart. So when the night drags on too long, he breathes and waits to feel that song. It's the hope he can't see, but it's living quietly, like a seed beneath the frost that refuses to be lost. Though his hands are worn and sore, something says hold on once more. It's the hope he can't see, but it's keeping him on his knees. Drowning their despair, let sorrow carve them into stone. He's seen the kind that lost their way because they tried to walk alone. But he ain't done not by a mile, though every breath feels like a climb. He knows that even dust and ashes hold a trace of better times. And though the future stands uncertain, hard as winter's longest night, there's a pulse beneath his burden that pulls him toward the light. And though his strength is wearing thin, the quiet fire burns within. It's the hope he can't see, but is living quietly, like a seed beneath the frost that refuses to be lost. Though his hands are worn and sore, something says hold on once more. It's the hope he can't see, but it's keeping him on his knees. Find the courage grew inside his mind, and every step through darkest night was leading him toward morning light. It's the hope he couldn't see, now burning bright and wild and free. What once was just a trembling spark that guides him through the deepest dark. Though life has taken cut and scarred, his soul still rises battle marked. It's a hope he couldn't see, now it walks in front of him. Steel and twice as warm, a ghost of who I should have been, a heart abandoned, bruised and torn. I carried stones beneath my ribcage, let anger be the air I breathe, a walking wildfire without mercy, burning everything I ever needed. But then she stepped into my shadow, soft as dawn on wounded land, a quiet voice that didn't tremble, a gentle touch that broke my hands. And somehow through my darkest night, her steady heart became my light. She saved me from myself, from the war I built inside. She held me when I shattered, she stayed when others left my side. Her love became the anchor
she brushed the dust off old regrets and kissed the demons in my head. I tried to push her to the doorway, tried to warn her of my fire, but she just smiled like summer rain and said, "You're more than your desire." She brewed her peace in simple gestures, a hand on mine, a whispered truth, and made a broken man remember the kind he promised in his youth. And slowly, while I learned to breathe, she taught my heart it could believe. She saved me from myself, from the war I built inside. She held me when I shattered, she stayed when others left my side. Her love became the anchor when my soul was lost at sea. She saved me from myself and brought the man I used to be. Now every sunrise feels like healing, every breath a borrowed grace. She turned the screams inside my silence into a softer, safer place. And though the world still tries to shake me, I'm not the man I used to be. Her kindness carved a brand new future out of the wreck she rescued me. So if you ask me where my strength is, why I stand instead of fall, I'll point to her, the quiet woman whose steady love rebuilt it all. For when my world fell out of line, her gentle hands pulled back the spine. She saved me from myself, from the war I built inside. She held me when I shattered, she stayed when others left my side. Her love became the anchor when my soul was lost at sea. She saved me from myself and brought the man I used to be. And if the night returns again, I'll stand, because she taught me when her voice my map, her heart my guide. The storm now walks beside the tide. She saved me from myself, lifted me from where I fell. She took the darkness in my chest and turned it into something else. Her love became the lantern in the caves I couldn't see. She saved me from myself, and she set my spirit free.
Night was crawling over Kansas, rain like nails on rusted steel. I'd been driving 20 hours, chasing echoes I could feel. At mile marker 57, a shadow stepped beside the lane. A man alone beneath the thunder, eyes as tired as mine from pain. the shoulder. Said, if you're lost, I've got a seat. He climbed aboard without a word, just nodded slow in quiet defeat. And in that cab of diesel light, two broken stories met that night. The stranger on the highway wore the same scars as me. Two men running from their ghosts, rolling through the misery. We spoke in silence, spoke in truth, in ways I kin would never see. The stranger on the highway shared the same storms as me. He said he lost a daughter young, a wife who couldn't bear the grief. Said he packed his bags and vanished, left his memories for relief. I told him how my nights were haunted by mistakes no one forgave, how I hid them under asphalt, let the highway be my grave. Two men who never met before, but somehow knew each other's aid, because pain speaks its own language that only wounded hearts can make. And as the dark unrolled its miles, we shared our truths in fragile piles. The stranger on the highway wore the same scars as me. Two men running from their ghosts, rolling through the misery. We spoke in silence, spoke in truth, in ways our kin would never see. The stranger on the highway shared the same storms as me. By dawn we reached the old state border, a quiet diner by the pines. He grabbed his bag, said, thank you, brother. Sometimes a heart just needs some lines. I watched him fade into the sunrise, a silhouette the world forgot. In his steps I saw my own, in every burden that he brought. It's strange how strangers mend your spirit, how two lives cross and then depart. But in that ride I learned the truth, we're never strangers in the heart. Though our roads now split in two, a piece of him still rides me through. The stranger on the highway wore the same scars as me. Two men running from their ghosts, rolling through the misery. We spoke in silence, spoke in truth, in ways our kin would never see. The stranger on the highway shared the same storms as me. Sometimes the ones you barely meet restore the strength beneath your feet. A passing soul, a fleeting spark, a lantern glowing in the dark. The stranger on the highway left a map inside my chest, showed me I'm not the only man who's fighting storms without rest. And though we walked into the dawn, his truth still rolls inside of me. The stranger on the highway set a wounded driver free. a foolish fire. I thought the city lights were promises, thought every tower would lift me high. But the concrete felt like prison walls, and every crowd just made me small. 1,000 faces rushing past me, not a single one to hear my call. I chased a shadow made of neon, lost my sleep and lost my name. The streets took everything I had and left a man I couldn't claim. I stood on rooftops screaming hope, but all I heard was sirens sing. The city chewed my bones to dust and told me pain is how you clean. And when the truth cuts through the noise, you hear the silence of your choice. The city that killed my dreams left me bleeding in between who I was and who I tried to be. A broken man on dead-end streets, but in the ashes of that fall, I heard my soul begin to call. The city that killed my dreams helped me crawl back to me. I sold my time to empty bosses, traded heartbeats for rent and fear. Built a tower made of long regrets, where hope was something I couldn't hear. I watched the skyline paint illusions, chasing lies with hungry hands. Thought ambition made me stronger, but it only drowned me in its sands. The nights grew colder than December, even when the streets ran hot. I learned success without a purpose is just another name for rot. When the mirror cracked before me, I saw the boy I used to be, the one who dreamed beneath the yoke, who always knew what made him free. And when the heart begins to break, you see which road you shouldn't take. The city that killed my dreams left me bleeding in between who I was and who I tried to be. A broken man on dead-end streets, but in the ashes of that fall, I heard my soul begin to call. The city that killed my dreams helped me crawl back to me. So I packed the last of all my failures, left my keys on the windowsill, walked away from all the noise toward the quiet of my father's hill. Now I breathe the honest wind again, hear the river and the pines. I learned the truth the hardest way, peace is now found in city lines. I plant my roots where hearts still matter, where work is sacred, slow and real, where dreams don't drown in crowded streets, but rising fields where scars can heal. And though the city stole my youth, it gave me something in return. A fire carved from shattered hope, a man rebuilt from what I learned. And now I walk the roads I choose, no longer built to beg or lose. The city that killed my dreams left me bleeding in between who I was and who I tried to be. A broken man on dead-end streets, but in the ashes of that fall, I heard my soul begin to call. The city that killed my dreams helped me crawl back to me. The city that killed my dreams now feels distant, small, unseen. It didn't steal what I became, it carved my soul through grit and flame.
And though it brought me to my knees, it taught me how the lost get free. The city that killed my dreams made a wiser man of me. Watched her pack a single suitcase just to dress a book, a photograph. No anger spoken, no goodbyes, only footsteps fading down the path. She closed the door without a tremor, turned the key but never turned around. And in that click, something shattered, left his heartbeat buried underground. The room still holds her sin and shadows, the curtains dance like she once did. But silence sits where laughter lives, and every breath feels like a bid. He keeps her slippers by the bedside, dust collecting where memories stay. A house can stand 100 years, but love can crumble in a day. And though the lock is turned to rust, his heart still guards what he can't trust. The house she locked behind her still echoes like a grave, a prison made of memories he's too tired now to save. He wonders if love ever heals when fate decides to sever. The house she locked behind her left his heart locked forever. Years blurred by like winter fences, cold and crooked, lean and slow. He tried to live in other cities, but empty follows where you go. Her laughter haunts the wooden hallways, her whisper lingers in the floor. Every time he tries to leave, he ends up knocking on this door. His neighbors say he should move on, burn the letters, chase the dawn. But ashes don't forget the fire, and lonely men don't just belong. He once believed that love was certain, a simple truth, a steady flame. But now he knows that broken vows are carved in bone, not just in shame. And though he tries to walk away, the past still begs for him to stay. The house she locked behind her still echoes like a grave, a prison made of memories he's too tired now to say. He wonders if love ever heals when fate decides to sever. The house she locked behind her left his heart locked forever. Tonight he stands before the doorway, and on the knob afraid to turn. He swears he hears her humming softly from some place time can't return. He asks the walls the same old questions. Will I love again? Will I forget? But walls don't answer broken men, they only listen to regret. He pulls the key she left behind, it trembles warm inside his hand. Maybe locking love away was all he ever learned to understand. So he exhales the past in whispers, lets the tears fall unashamed. You can rebuild a broken roof, but not a heart the world has claimed. And though the road ahead is wide, he fears what waits on the other side. The house she locked behind her still echoes like a grave, a prison made of memories he's too tired now to save. He wonders if love ever heals when fate decides to sever. The house she locked behind her left his heart locked forever. This relic built on pain, but healing starts with walking out, not waiting for a ghost again. The house she locked behind her still whispers through the floor, but now he turns the handle slow and steps beyond the door. For hearts can mend in shattered men when courage says endeavor. The house she locked behind her won't hold his soul forever.
Got a steady laugh, a handshake firm, a back held straight. A man who never misses work, a man who never shows away. But when the door clicks shut at night and no one's left to play pretend, he sits alone with trembling hands, wearing masks that never bend. The bills stack high like crooked mountains, the memories ache like rusted steel. He hides the battles in his chest that no one else will ever feel. The world keeps asking for his strength, for him to stand and never fall. But heroes made of flesh and bone aren't built to carry every call. And though his heart is bleeding down, he keeps the world from seeing him. He's the man who smiles through the storm, even when the cold outgrows the warm. He lifts the weight no one can see, breaks in silence quietly. He holds the fire, hides the ache, pretends he's fine for others' sake. He's a man who smiles through the storm, even when he's barely holding on. He learned young that crying's weakness, that men stand tall no matter what. So he buried every trembling truth and stitched the wounds the world had cut. His friends say he's unshakable, a quiet rock, a steady guy. But none have seen the midnight hour where he breaks down from all he's tried. He stares at photographs of better days, remembers when he felt alive, a younger man with softer eyes and dreams he thought would still survive. and turn a gentle soul into a soldier wanting sore. Yet still he rises every dawn and walks back through the same old door. And though his heart is bleeding down, he keeps the world from seeing him. He's a man who smiles through the storm, even when the cold outgrows the warm. He lives the way no one can see, breaks in silence quietly. He holds the fire, hides the ache, pretends he's fine for others' sake. He's the man who smiles through the storm, even when he's barely holding on. Tonight he stands before the mirror, sees the cracks behind his grin, the tired eyes, the quiet pain, the battles fought beneath the skin. He whispers, son, I hope one day you never wear what I want to. May you be strong without breaking, and never hide the hurt from you. He squares his shoulders one more time, lets the truth slip down his face. One tear falls for the man he is, another for the dreams he chased. He breathes deep in the lonely dark, finds courage buried in the ache. Some storms don't pass by running from them, some storms demand a man to wait. And though his heart is bleeding dim, he keeps the world from seeing him. He's a man who smiles through the storm, even when the cold outgrows the warm. He lives the way no one can see, breaks in silence quietly. He holds the fire, hides the ache, pretends he's fine for others' sake. He's the man who smiles through the storm, even when he's barely holding on. One day he'll learn that even iron needs a place to finally rest, and strength is born in honest wounds, not in pretending to be blessed. He's a man who smiles through the storm, but tonight he lets the fire transform. For even steel can bend and heal, and broken men can learn to feel. He drops the weight he's carried long, and finds the strength to not stay strong. No longer smiling through the storm, but walking toward a brighter dawn. I used to see her on the porch swing, lantern glowing like a prayer in the dark. She'd lift her hand when I hit the gravel, her smile guided me like a spark. But the years ran hard and work ran longer, and I kept coming home late through the dusk, saying next week I'll slow it down, not knowing time don't bargain with us. One night I pulled into the driveway, and in the swing moved only with the wind. The lantern cold, the doorway empty, and something in me caved within. touched the quilt she stitched by hand. Felt the silence sitting heavy, like a truth I couldn't understand. The doctor's words came soft and broken. She waited long as her heart could stay. I dropped my cap and held my breath, wishing I turned on one day earlier in my haste. Now every road sign cuts like memory. Every evening breeze sounds like her call. And I give 10 lifetimes of proud man's work just to hear her say my name once more. The road don't lie, it keeps the sound of every night you waited around. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting, where the wind still whispers her voice through the pines. I pull to the shoulder and close my eyes slowly, hoping the breeze carries one more sign. If love has a place where time stands still, it's in a turn where hope and loss collide. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting and feel her standing by my side. Now I keep her old porch lantern burning every night before I sleep. I learned too late that love is fragile, a vow you honor, a flame you keep. But on that road, when dusk grows quiet, I swear I hear her humming low, like a mother guiding her wandering son down a path she blessed so long ago. And though my hands are rough and shaking, her tenderness still holds them straight. She may be gone from that old porch swing, but she walks with me in every fade. The road don't lie, it keeps the sound of every night she waited around. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting, where the wind still whispers her voice through the pines. I pull to the shoulder and close my eyes slowly, hoping the breeze carries one more sign. If love has a place where time stands still, it's in the turn where hope and loss collide. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting and feel her standing by my side. Mile home, past the line where sorrow can't reach, and she'll be there in the golden quiet, saying, I knew you'd find your way to me. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting, but tonight the sky feels warm and white. The breeze grows soft like a roll good night, and something peaceful stirs inside. If heaven has a porch of light, she's sitting there where the dusk resides. I drive the road where my mother stopped waiting and feel her standing by my side. sits on that old pine porch, hands trembling like the autumn leaves, a lifetime carved into his knuckles, hard words, harder memories. His son walks up the dusty driveway, boot steps heavy, slow, unsure. They share a silence thick as winter, both afraid of what they're here for. The old man pulls at his fraying jacket, eyes avoiding the sun he raised. Regret is colder than the evening, and shame can last for endless days. He remembers anger in the kitchen, broken place and swallowed pride. A boy who only wanted kindness, a father who never tried. You made a man out of steel, the boy once yelled before he left. But steel rusts when love is missing, and distance is the price of breath. Now the father's voice is gravel, barely strong enough to stop. He clears his throat like moving mountains, trying to pull truth from a stubborn heart. The years took more than he can count, but left one chance to turn around. He says, son, sit down if you're willing, though the words shake like a dying flame. I ain't got much in this old heart left, but what's left still knows your name. Two men stare at broken fences, both built high by fear and pain. But tonight the wall begins to crumble in the quiet of the rain. The son remembers fists on tables, doors are slammed like thunder rolls. But he also sees a tired farmer who never learned to free his soul. The old man lifts his weathered Bible, not to preach, but just to hold, a symbol of the roads he wasted, trying to turn silence into gold. And with a breath that feels like mercy, finally lets the truth break through. I ain't said much that matters, son, but I'm proud to still have you. The years took more than he can count, but left one chance to turn around. He says, son, sit down if you're willing, though the words shake like a dying flame. I ain't got much in this old heart left, but what's left still knows your name. Two men stare at broken fences, both built high by fear and pain. But tonight the wall begins to crumble in the quiet of the rain. The truth wash your years of hurt away. Forgiveness grows in quiet soil when both decide to stay. He says, son, I ain't said it often, and maybe I said it wrong each time, but if love can mend a wounded lifetime, and I'm asking you to take this line. A father's heart once locked in iron finally opens, worn but brave. For even the man who never said I'm sorry can learn how to be saved.
turns the key to the family homestead. Dust rising like memories from the floor. 1,000 footsteps live in those boards. Each creak a voice he's heard before. His grandfather's boots rest by the doorway, untouched since a winter he passed on. And the old brass lamp on the kitchen table still waits to be lit at dawn. He runs his hand along the wooden railing, feels the grooves time carved so deep. This house, he whispers to the silence, still holds the stories we couldn't keep. The screen door moans just like he used to, calling him back to younger days, where mud-caked boots and laughter echoed through summers lost in golden haze. He hears his grandfather's voice in the hallway, soft as the prayer he'd say at night, teaching a boy about work and honor, about wrong and right without a fight. And though the rooms are cold and quiet, he swears the air feels warm and known, as if the walls themselves remember every seed of love they've sown. For every echo, every mark is a lantern glowing in the dark. In the house where the walls still speak, where the past leans in like an old friend's hand, every whisper guides his wandering heart back to where he learned to stand. Legacy lives in the smallest sounds, in the boys, the beams, the stories kept. In the house where the walls still speak, he hears the voices he once wept. He finds a chair his grandfather built, rocking gentle on its worn out tracks, a promise etched beneath the armrest. Strength is earned, never held back. He opens windows to the morning breeze, lets the dust dance in the rising light. And for a moment the house breathes with him, oh so stirring in plain sight. He kneels at the hearthstone, eyes closed tight, thankful for the roots beneath his feet, for a home that teaches through its silence that love made here never retreats. For every echo, every mark is a lantern glowing in the dark. In the house where the walls still speak, where the past leans in like an old friend's hand, every whisper guides his wandering heart back to where he learned to stand. Legacy lives in the smallest sounds, in the boards, the beams, the stories kept. In the house where the walls still speak, he hears the voices he once wept. As he lights the lamp at sunset, he feels the presence settle near, a quiet blessing from the ancestors, saying, son, you're still welcome here. In the house where the walls still speak, he finds his place beneath their call, a legacy stitched in timber and dust,